Afternoon, everybody. Yes, so my name's Ben Parsons. I'm the Business Development Director for SRL. Today, I'm really going to talk to you about a new technology that's really going to revolutionize the temporary traffic signal market. Before I get to that, really, I'm just going to talk a little bit. We recently did a survey with another body called Work, speaking to local authorities, general public, utility businesses, in what their concerns were on portable traffic lights. And as you can see from the graphic behind me, traffic flow is the big concern. I'm sure all of us here have been sat behind portable signals. They don't generally run as clean as permanent signals, and there's a frustration that's there for the general public and everybody here that drives. But there's also issues around health and safety, something called manual timing permits, which I'm going to talk about a little bit, and then the issue around labour and the scarcity of labour within this sector. So just to give you a bit of background, we've seen a spike in permits over the last kind of 12 months. So at SRL, a company that I represent, we're monitoring permit data on a monthly basis, really looking at what is happening within different sectors. If you take transport, for instance, there's £500 million that's been invested in improving our roads going forward. So that's creating a real spike within permit data. And then you've got the water and all the other key utility sectors, whereas in 2023, there was a performance from AFRA in regards leakage prevention and maintenance, etc. Now there's more funding available and a really aggressive plan to improve that in water. And if you take gas and power, with the emergence of EV, the need to increase our housing stock, again, this is really driving the number of permits that are out there every single day in the UK. So really, just to give you a bit of information, every single one of us will drive on average just under 600 hours just on daily commutes every single year. And out of those 600 hours, we spend 61 of them stuck in traffic. Generally, probably 60% of that traffic you're stuck in is behind temporary traffic lights. It's a real cost to the economy. So we spoke with Transport for Greater Manchester. They estimate that for 1 hour, one driver stuck in traffic cost their economy £9.66. If you extrapolate that, there's just over 1.1 million cars registered in Manchester. That's a cost of about £615 million a year in cost to their economy. So every single day, as I said, there's permits. The permits for this work is rising. There's about 15,000 to 18,000 permits that are live every single day, whether it be for transport or any of the utilities. Out of those permits, between 9 and 10% of them require what's called manual timing. This is an operative that stood next to a portable signal, hopefully adjusting phases to alleviate traffic flow. Now, in reality, what happens is those operatives aren't necessarily trained, they're agency staff, and they're probably sat in their van because it's a rainy day, and who wants to be stood like a sentry next to a portable signal? The cost of that labour, so about 1,800 of these operatives every single day are stood next to portable signals at a cost of about £300 a day. You extrapolate, that's about just over £500,000 that's costing us for those operatives to be stood there. Now, the other issue that utility businesses have is because of the scarcity of labour, there's a 25% no-show rate. So where they won't be able to meet the permit conditions to adjust the timings manually, so they have to abort the job. And that also adds cost. these operatives that may be sitting in a van, as I mentioned, not conducting the manual timing, they're generally idling every hour. That's using in a region of about 2 litres of fuel, which again is just under 47,000 kilograms of carbon. And then these operatives are also at the front line. So when there's frustration from the general public, when there's any incursions, they are receiving that. And from National Highways figures, there's about 300 of them every single week. So anyone that doesn't really know about a manual timing permit, it's where the permit will stipulate that someone adjust the phases either between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. to alleviate traffic flow. A lot of the time it'd be at peak periods, so between 7 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And so, as I said, there's 1,800 of these operatives every single day out there on our UK roads. So I'm just going to show you a quick animation of how that will work or what is happening. So you've got to build up a traffic here. This is a 3-phase junction. This is just normal portables that are out there every single day that we all would have been sat behind. And you have an operative that's standing there supposedly changing the phases to alleviate that traffic flow. But the problem is visibility. Not every road is straight, so he can't see around the corner. He can't see what's happening on other phases. So it limits his visibility. There's a bias to the phase that he stood at. So he's, as you can see in that video, where he stood, he's biased to that phase. There's health and safety risks. Really having operatives stood next to live traffic is always a risk. They're exposed to abuse, as I've already mentioned. And then there's that willingness, bad weather, who wants to be stood out in the rain, manually changing phases on our portable signals. It doesn't get done, which creates further frustration for the general public. So as I said at the start of the presentation, there's really a revolution about to happen within portable traffic signals, where we are now able, the technology is out there, to remotely monitor and adjust timings or phases, interventions to alleviate that traffic flow. The example you can see on here is a system called REMOS. So these look like normal portable traffic signals, but they have a separate unit, a little bit like a UTMC controller, but it's called an RTMC, that's communicating with the lights and sending a signal back to a control center, so trained operatives can adjust phases to alleviate that traffic flow. They can turn all the lights red if there's emergency services that want to pass through that particular area. Now this type of system is generally distinctive. It's a distinctive yellow. This is for local authorities. If they have issued a permit that requires manual timing, they can quite quickly see that it's not a manual timing site, it's actually a remotely monitored site, so there's no need for them to issue what is an FPN, a fine for not meeting the permit conditions. So right now, we've all had CCTV out there for a long time. Why are we now able to incorporate CCTV into our portable signals? Well, the first thing is the data cost. When you're streaming live feed through portable signals, the cost of data is massive. And you can have the best idea, but if it doesn't commercially work, this is a real problem. The other side of it is latency and guaranteeing the picture. So what people are seeing on a screen, making sure it's actually what's happening now, and being able to guarantee that you'll always be able to see what is happening on site. So what's changed? So there's technology out there now, which is data compression technology. Effectively, what it does is it compresses the feed down, transmits it, and then opens it back up. The simple way to explain it is like a zip file. There's some other clever bits within this technology. So effectively, when you've got an image, you might have 1 million pixels on that image. instead of changing all of those pixels, this technology looks and goes, well, it's only a car that's moved through that image that needs changing, so I only need to change 10,000. So this reduces the data cost, because what will happen, the network operators will be, when their network is taking a lot of usage, they'll what's called throttle the network. They'll prevent video feeds. You've all been there trying to watch a video on YouTube and it starts to buffer. That's because there's heavy usage on that network and the video feed gets throttled. Because we have this data compression technology, the network operators don't see it as video feed, so it doesn't get throttled. Prime example of this, it was used by Glastonbury, where they could never guarantee a CCTV image, because you can imagine you've got 250,000 visitors of Glastonbury that are all sending WhatsApps and texts and taking videos and trying to send that to their friends and family. So the network operator throttles the network, Glastonbury lose their CCTV feed. They incorporated this compression technology and they are able to guarantee a picture with no latency. So what they see is what is happening and they can guarantee that image. It's generally done on a multi-SIM network, so you're not relying on one operator. You can switch between multiple operators, depends who's got the best network. So how remotely operated signals work? Very simple. You remove your portable lights. You put a portable light that very much looks the same, but it has what is the RTMC. And these lights have a small camera that's taking that feed and beaming it back to a control center. So at SRL, we've built a large control center in Solihull. Looks very similar to this. So we have operatives that are managing this site on these sites on a daily basis. It's a very scalable solution. So where historically you would have one person managing one site, we now have operatives that one will be able to manage 6 sites. As AI comes into this, one operative will be able to do 20 sites, because certain interventions are predictable by AI. So as I said at the start, there's going to be a massive change. This is going to improve safety. This means we don't have less operatives on site, vulnerable to vehicular impact. It's going to solve the problem of the scarcity of labor. It's going to reduce the cost, because as we scale this solution up, as I said at the start, one operative costs £300 to manage one site at the moment. If we get to a point, so at the minute we're at a point where one operative is managing 6 sites, and this is live technology that's being used in Manchester, the southeast, the southwest currently. One operator managing 6 sites. As we extrapolate that and model that to one operator doing 20 sites, it really reduces the cost for the utility business, for the local authority. The other side of it is improved traffic flow. Because you can make these interventions, you can guarantee these interventions, you really improve traffic flow, and we have lots of data to show this. And lastly, the reduced emissions. You've not got operatives not only idling on site, but having to drive to and from site to be there. So you're going to reduce emissions. Now, if you're looking at this technology, there's a few things that are really important to consider. First of all, the training. The operators that are conducting these interventions need to be at least M1 to M7 Lantra trained, so they have an understanding of temporary portable traffic lights. They also are trained on permanent traffic lights, because what you're doing on this temporary junction will affect the permanent junction up in east and west. There's also training that's needed via SIA CCTV training. At the moment, this is live feed, it's not recording, so it doesn't infringe on GDPR, but they still need that SIA training. And then from a security point of view, the technology you use needs to meet the UK Camera Commissioner's surveillance guides. But more importantly, it needs to meet the National Defence Authority Act. This is to make sure that no one can intervene on that video feed, changing phases to cause disruption or even worse, an incident. So this technology needs to meet that NDAA. There's the whole reliability piece, as I've spoke about, this is data compression. So with this technology, you can guarantee an image. And this is really important from a local authority's point of view. If you're going to accept this as an alternative to manual timing, you want to guarantee that you're going to get that video feed. So as well as it going to the control center, the local authorities, the utility businesses, and any TMs also get access to a link so they can visually see the sites and see what's going on. And then, as I've said, stability. Having that compression really guarantees stability, guarantees that picture all of the time. There's lots more I could talk about on this, but obviously only got 15 minutes. We have got a demonstration tomorrow at 10 o'clock, or we have a stand over there where we can really talk to you about the revolution of REMOS and how it's going to affect the temporary traffic market. Just over 15 minutes, so I don't know if I've got time, but thanks ever so much.